Hi again, like bosses. You wait for one, two come along at once. It's going to be a wee quick one, just for exporting of images based on that last one that we worked on. So done the development, done your editing, happy with what you've got, and you want to push it out to a JPEG, for example, to print or to email or to put on a web page or whatever you might want to do. So I'm just going to go through the process for producing a JPEG of your edited image. So we're in the library here. We've come out of develop, return to the library, and then we're looking up here at the top. So we've got file, and under file we've got the option to export. So we want to click on export, and that'll bring us up this dialog. So this dialog is giving us the option to burn to the hard drive. So you're saving it off as a file into the hard drive. You can also email it directly from here. Um, So you'll have to use your local email client and send the email out from there. So you would have to have Outlook set up on your machine. Burn it to hard drive, which is probably what you'll all do. Just putting it out onto a file and then doing whatever you want with it from there. Or you can burn it to a CD and DVD. Again, you have to have the drive capable of burning the file out to DVD. So default hard drive is probably good. So what we've got in here is a series of settings panels, which you can expand and contract. The location of the file, how you want to name it. This isn't a video, it's an image, so this doesn't really make any difference. The settings for the file, how you want it to be sized, whether you want it sharpened, whether you want the metadata to be exported with the file. So that's kind of information such as the lens that you used, the location possibly that you took the image from, things like that. Watermarking. So if you want to protect your image from, if you're putting it up onto Facebook or something like that, for example, and you don't want someone to be stealing it, using it as their own, you might want to put some kind of marking on it, and then what you want to do after the file has been processed. The ones at the bottom here I tend to change very little, and the ones at the top I change all the time. So we'll start at the top here, export location. So options you have in here is you can go to default folders like my documents, my videos, my pictures, desktop, things like that. Or you can go to a specific folder. This is pretty much always what I have is specific folder. You can then choose the folder in here. So if you click choose, it will give you the option to pick the folder you want to push the image out to. So you'll select my parent folder as a Lightroom export, and then you can have it just export directly to that folder, or you can put it in a subfolder for the series of edits that you have. I normally do this, putting it in a subfolder, and then I'll name it the location and probably the year, and that's enough really for me. You have an option down here then to add to this catalog. If you have that checked, what you're going to get is you're going to get a duplicate image saved into your Lightroom catalog, um, which starts to get a little large. If you're processing numerous images and you're keeping 2 copies of each of them, you'll soon run out of hard drive space on either your external drive or your local hard disk on your machine. So I tend to leave this unchecked. Existing files. So if, for example, you've already worked on this location and you've already worked on this file by the same name, and you go to process this and export, it may encounter a file by the same name. So generally I would leave it for Lightroom to ask me what to do in that event. You can have it to set a new name for the file. You can have it to overwrite without warning if you know that you just want to take this most recent version as being the final version, then you can overwrite it without ever warning you, which is quite dangerous, and I'm guessing that's why they have without warning in capitals there. Or you can have skip, which means it'll not do anything if it encounters a duplicate. So yeah, I just normally leave it ask what to do. Next up then we have file naming. So you can have this unchecked, which will just name the file, the JPEG extension of the file name, the raw file that you had taken and processed. I prefer to have control of that. So again, I'm renaming. You can set it to, so X file of Y number of files, the original file number. So it could be where it was located in the folder that it was imported from, a sequence. So if you're exporting multiple files, it's just going to increment it from 1 to whatever the maximum number of files in that library is. You can give it a custom name. So if you just want to click on that, you can tell it exactly what you want to call it. So More edits, for example. And you can just see down below as I type that in, it's showing you the example of what the file name will be. You can then set it to date. So as they change all these, it'll show you at the bottom what the example of the file name will be, a sequence or just the file name. So probably just go for sequence in this regard and leave the extension as lowercase. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. Video, we can skip over that. File settings. So we have here is your format. So JPEG's probably pretty good for everything but print. So if you're looking to go to send as a newspaper and stuff like that, I think they prefer TIFF, but JPEG is traditionally what I'm putting it out at. Quality is highest. Color space, I would always have done Adobe RGB, but for the exhibition, Trasa indicated to me that I think it was sRGB was the color way of choice for the printer. So that's what it had to be set to for those. I think it could be any of them really. Best if you are going to print, to check with whoever's doing the prints just to make sure you have it set so you don't get any distortion for that. I'll leave those as was. Image sizing, if you want to resize the image to a specific size. So if you're putting out to Instagram, for example, I think 2048 pixels by 2048 pixels is the kind of size that they want. So if you want to resize to that, you can set the resolution here, whether you want it to be pixels per inch or pixels per centimeter. Again, you can change this depending on the format that you're looking to push your image out to. You probably look into that online. I think 300 ppi is good for kind of the image sizes that we were producing for the exhibition. Output sharpening, tend not to do too much with that. I would prefer just to deal with the sharpening that I've put into my editing, my processing, so I just leave that unchecked. Metadata, as we spoke of, kind of if you want to remove the location info, remove the person info, that kind of thing. I just generally don't do anything with that. I just leave it as is. Watermarking, you can apply a copyright, and post-processing, if you want to show the file or open it in Photoshop, you want to do a bit more editing in there on the JPEG itself, then you can do so. So yeah, that's pretty much the settings that I would go for. Once you've been through that and you're kind of happy, you can get a little bit of an overview here of what the image is going to look like. You then click to export, and then up here on the left you'll see the little processing for the export itself. So it's doing its business. I don't know yet. So you'll see when it goes to light gray that it's pretty much it done, and that's it finished. So if I go out to my desktop Lightroom export folder, I then have Moore 2017, and there's the file. So that's the file exported. If I open it up, that's it, done and dusted. Hopefully that's helped someone. Leave it at that. Thank you.